Before we go further, I just want to give you a brief introduction and brief insight, I would say, about the microorganism and how exactly ultraviolet sanitization system helps in stopping their growth. So if you look into any microorganism, the basic idea is every microorganism has a genetic material inside them which they inject into the host cell. As you can see here, this bacteriophage is doing the same, injecting its genetic material inside this. Now microorganism which creates trouble to human, basically categorized into two main parts. One are bacteria, like these are the E. coli bacteria, and this is the microscopic image of the same. And another is viruses, like this is coronaviruses. I think this is the virus which basically makes me made this video. But the thing which we should all consider is that both of these bacteria and viruses, in fact all microorganisms and all living beings on this planet, have these things inside. The bacterias and most of all the other uh, uh, living beings on this planet has this double helix DNA inside. It's the genetic material of the bacteria, and the viruses has RNA inside, which is a single helix, which is a single stranded thing. It's just the half of the DNA, and this DNA and RNA are basically genetic instruction for the development, functioning, growth, and reproduction of all known organism and in many viruses. So why we are looking into this? Because I want to show you what ultraviolet radiation do to these DNA and RNA. But before we go to the ultraviolet radiation stuff, let's have a quick look on the electromagnetic spectrum, all the kinds of radiations which are available in this world, or rather in this universe. So this is all the kind of radiation which is known to mankind, at least up till now, uh, which ranges from gamma rays to radio wave. The gamma rays have the highest frequency, the lowest wavelength, and they are the most powerful one. Then comes X-ray, ultraviolet, visible, infrared, microwave, and radio. As you go towards gamma rays, the energy of the wave increases. So where we find gamma rays are like black hole burst and other stuffs. The X-rays are basically used for looking into inside our body. Ultraviolet radiations, like when we do welding and all, we get these radiations out. The visual rays are something which our eyes can see, and it is available everywhere, which whatsoever we can see are made up of these visual radiations. Then comes infrared radiations, which shows how hot and how cool anything is. Then comes the microwave radiation, the cosmic microwave. This is the picture of the cosmic microwave radiation from the background, and these are the radio waves. Like these are the waves which are least in energy but are used for communication purposes. Uh, so what is the effect of UV radiation on microorganism? So this is the same electromagnetic spectrum. Here, if you look into the UV, it is basically divided into these three parts: UVA, B, and C. This UVC is something which is considered for sanitizing, or for is considered germicidal. So this is the DNA which I've just explained in sometime before. And when the UV radiation, this UVC radiation falls on this DNA, so these DNAs are basically made up of four uh, bases: adenine, guanine, thymine, and cytosine. Now I'm not gonna go in the detail of what those things are, but basically you can these four colors represent those four bases. And when ultraviolet radiation falls on them, what it does that it interacts with the thymine thing and makes a dimer here, and basically it breaks it and makes another compound here. Because if you look closely into this spectrum, the UVC radiation is something which has the property of ionization and dissociation both. It can ionize and dissociate the uh, chemical bonds both. So that's what happens here, and the DNA structure changes. Once the DNA changes, the microorganism cannot reproduce or cannot make replica of itself further, and it is stopped reproducing. So when microorganisms are exposed to ultraviolet C lights, the light penetrates through their wall and disrupts the structure of the genetic element like DNA, RNA, prohibiting reproduction of the microorganism. But be very careful, like since it's a do it yourself video, we need to make sure that safety is our first priority. So just to give you a glimpse about that, if you look into UVA radiation, uh, it is used for curing, printing, sensing, many other things. UVB is for tanning and curing, but UVC is something which comes in the wavelength of 200 to 280 nanometers, and it's used for germicidal, and it is very dangerous for skin and eyes. However, nowadays we also have far UVC, which is in the range of 207 to 222, and vacuum UV, far UV, it's also kind of far UV, and that's in the range of 100 to 200. So these are also germicidal, but they are safe for eyes. But in our experiment, which I'm going to show it to you, I did not get far UVC, so I'm using UVC radiations only. If you're trying to attempt this, use far UVC or VUV far UVC. Okay, let's get into the real world application. So this is a real world application where UVC lights have been deployed on a robot to sanitize hospitals. In this corona period, this UV radiations are even deployed in a tunnel where the entire bus is getting sanitized here, and of course UV radiations are used for a very long time in for purifying the water. So these are some of the real world application. Now